Welcome. Grab a seat around the campfire and make yourselves comfortable. Have a listen to 3 ghost stories to kick off the fall season. The Unseen Camper. The forest had always held a particular allure for Sarah and her group of adventurous friends. The towering pines whispered secrets, and the rustling leaves beckoned them into the heart of the wilderness. It was the perfect setting for a camping trip, they thought, a chance to escape the trappings of the mundane world. Little did they know that this excursion would become a nightmare they would never forget. They set up camp in a secluded grove, the flickering flames of their campfire warding off the encroaching darkness. Laughter and camaraderie filled the air as they shared stories, roasted marshmallows, and sang campfire songs. It was the kind of night that felt timeless, a memory etched into their souls. But as the clock ticked away and the moon ascended its throne in the night sky, unease began to creep into their midst. Sarah, always the vigilant one, noticed something odd, the discovery of an extra set of footprints encircling their campsite. At first they dismissed it as a trick of the flickering firelight, a misinterpretation of the shadows cast by the swaying trees. However, the next morning, the footprints remained, etched into the dew-kissed earth, like a malevolent signature. Anxiety gnawed at their resolve, but they collectively decided to brush it off as the product of an overactive imagination. Days passed, and the inexplicable footprints persisted. Each morning brought fresh evidence of an unseen intruder in their midst. Whispers of paranoia festered among them, casting an ever-lengthening shadow over their once carefree adventure. Then came the night when the forest took a sinister turn. Gathered around the campfire once more, their faces masked with forced cheerfulness, they sang their favorite campfire songs, the words carried away by the night's stillness. As the final notes of a song faded into the silence, a voice joined them from the darkness, a voice that sent shivers coursing through their spines. It was an eerie, haunting rendition of the very song they had just sung, each word enunciated with unnatural precision. The group fell into a hushed, fearful silence, their eyes darting into the impenetrable depths of the forest. There, in the shadows, something lurked. An unseen camper who knew their songs, who traced their steps with sinister intent. Terror gripped them as they realized that they were not alone in that remote wilderness. The realization that an unknown presence had been silently stalking them, mimicking their every move, was too much to bear. With trembling hands, they extinguished the campfire, plunging themselves into a chilling darkness that mirrored the icy fingers of dread clutching at their hearts. The forest, once a place of wonder and adventure, had transformed into a malevolent labyrinth. They huddled together, unable to escape the oppressive darkness that had become their prison. The voice from the shadows continued to sing their campfire songs, each word an eerie echo of their own voices. Hours felt like eternity as the night dragged on, the unseen camper drawing ever closer. As the first light of dawn finally pierced the horizon, they gathered their belongings and fled the forest, their hearts heavy with the weight of terror. The presence of the unseen camper had forever tainted their love for the wilderness, a nightmarish memory that would haunt their dreams for the rest of their days. The footprints remained, imprinted in their minds and on the forest floor. A chilling reminder of the horrors they had encountered, a presence that lurked just beyond the edge of perception, an unseen camper who knew their every move, and a voice that sang their campfire songs from the darkness. The Phantom Fire. In the heart of the dense, ancient woods, a lone camper named David stumbled upon an eerie scene that would forever change his perception of reality. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows among the gnarled trees, he ventured deeper into the wilderness, his backpack laden with supplies for a night under the stars. The forest had an uncanny silence, broken only by the occasional rustling leaves and the distant hooting of an owl. It was as if the very woods held its breath, awaiting the arrival of an unwitting intruder. Then, as if guided by an unseen hand, David stumbled upon an abandoned campsite. His flashlight beam flickered over the scene, a weathered tent, discarded cooking utensils, and an unattended campfire. The embers still glowed with an unnatural intensity, bathing the clearing in an eerie crimson light. Curiosity mingled with trepidation as David approached the fire. The flames danced with a ghostly energy, casting unsettling, shifting shadows upon the trees. A cold wind whispered through the branches, but the fire remained untouched, undisturbed by the elements. A sense of foreboding washed over him, but a reckless curiosity compelled him to stay. Perhaps the previous camper had been forced to leave in a hurry, leaving behind a perfectly good campsite for him to enjoy. Or so he tried to convince himself. As David settled down beside the inexplicably enduring fire, he began to hear whispers, faint, elusive murmurs that seemed to emanate from the flames themselves. At first, he dismissed them as the rustling of leaves or the wind's eerie song through the trees. But the whispers persisted, growing clearer, more insistent. They spoke in hushed, incomprehensible tones, their words slipping through his consciousness like tendrils of smoke. It was as if the very fire possessed a malevolent sentience, a presence that sought to ensnare his mind. David's heart raced, and beads of sweat formed on his brow as the whispers wove a chilling narrative. They spoke of ancient rituals, of lost souls trapped in the fiery abyss, and of an insatiable hunger for the living. The words clawed at his sanity, threatening to consume him whole. Desperation seized him, and he attempted to extinguish the ever-burning fire, but his efforts were in vain. The flames roared defiantly, engulfing his discarded gear, casting grotesque, flickering shadows that danced with a sinister glee. Hours turned into a nightmarish eternity as David wrestled with the relentless voices from the flames. The eerie red light painted his face in grotesque hues, distorting his features into a visage of terror. Dawn finally broke, its golden light piercing the darkness. The fire, now a smoldering remnant of its once eerie vitality, dimmed to a feeble glow. The whispers faded, their haunting words retreating into the depths of the woods. David, shaken to his core, fled the accursed campsite, his heart heavy with the weight of the horrors he had witnessed. The phantom fire and its sinister whispers remained etched in his memory, a chilling reminder that some mysteries of the wilderness should never be explored. He had survived, but the campsite's malevolent secrets would forever haunt his dreams, and the fire, the enigmatic force that defied the natural order, would forever burn in the darkest recesses of his mind. The Hunter of the Woods.
Deep within the heart of the Appalachian forest,
a place where ancient trees stood like sentinels, there existed a darkness that locals dared not speak of, a legend that haunted the minds of those who knew the truth. A group of childhood friends, Sarah, Mike, Lisa, and Jake, had gathered for a weekend retreat in a cabin nestled amid the wilderness. They came seeking a break from the pressures of their adult lives, yearning for the comfort of old bonds and the solace of nature. Their first night at the cabin was filled with laughter, stories, and the warmth of the crackling fireplace. But as the moon rose high in the sky, casting eerie shadows through the windows, an unsettling feeling crept over them. It was as if the forest held its breath, waiting for something. Sarah, the most adventurous of the group, suggested a late-night hike under the full moon. Mike, Lisa, and Jake hesitated, but their curiosity got the better of them, and they agreed. Armed with flashlights and a sense of camaraderie, they ventured into the woods, unaware of the darkness that lurked there. As they walked deeper into the forest, the air grew colder, and the trees closed in around them like silent observers. The path, once familiar from their childhood adventures, began to blur, and the woods seemed to twist and turn, leading them further from the safety of the cabin. Sarah's flashlight flickered, casting eerie shadows among the trees. She paused to check her equipment, but as she did, an unsettling feeling washed over her, an uncanny sensation of being watched, not by the forest, but by something far more sinister. Mike's voice broke the silence. "Do you guys feel that? It's like we're being followed." Lisa's nervous laughter filled the air. "Come on, Mike. Don't freak us out." But as they continued, the sensation of being pursued grew stronger. Rustling leaves, twigs snapping, and the eerie hoots of owls seemed to echo all around them. The forest had come alive with a malevolent presence. Jake's flashlight suddenly went out, plunging them into darkness. Panic swept over the group as they fumbled in their pockets for backup lights, and the sense of being hunted intensified. Sarah, their self-proclaimed leader, tried to maintain composure. "Okay, guys, let's stick together. We're not alone out here." As they clung to each other, a chilling growl echoed through the woods. It was no ordinary animal. It was a sound that sent shivers down their spines and froze their blood. In the dim light of their flashlights, they saw it. A massive, shadowy figure, taller and broader than any creature of the woods. Its eyes, glowing like fiery embers, bore into their souls. Panic turned to terror as they realized they were prey, trapped in a deadly game of cat and mouse. The creature moved with uncanny speed and agility, always just out of reach, taunting them with its otherworldly presence. Hours passed in the relentless pursuit, and exhaustion gnawed at their strength. Fear and despair threatened to consume them, but the bond of friendship kept them moving forward, driven by an unrelenting will to survive. The forest seemed to conspire against them, twisting paths and distorting reality until they were hopelessly lost. It was as if the very woods had turned against them. Then, as dawn broke on the horizon, they stumbled upon a small, dilapidated cabin hidden deep in the woods. Desperation compelled them to seek refuge within its decaying walls, but their respite was short-lived. As the first rays of sunlight filtered through the trees, the creature's haunting growls and glowing eyes vanished into the shadows. They had survived the night, but the terror of their encounter would forever haunt their dreams. With trembling hands, they returned to their cabin, forever changed by the ordeal. They had ventured into the heart of darkness, where the line between legend and reality blurred, and where the hunter of the woods would forever remain an enigma, an entity that lurked in the shadows, waiting to test the limits of human courage and the strength of friendship. I hope you enjoyed the stories tonight around this campfire. Be careful going down the mountain tonight. It's dark, and who knows what's out there in the shadows, waiting. As always, this is Broadcaster 7, and you have been watching The Night Signal. Stay spooky out there.